I never thought a calm summer evening at my lakeside property would spiral into a full-blown showdown with the HOA and their self-appointed queen bee, Karen. Just last night, I had stocked my lake with a few harmless nurse sharks as part of a wildlife research project, completely legal and properly supervised. But today, Karen decided to let her kids swim in it, and when I calmly asked her to keep them out, she called 911 like I was some kind of criminal. What happened next? Let's just say the lake, and the truth, had my back. Before we get into it, let me know where you're watching from. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to be part of the community. I've always been someone who values peace and quiet. My property spans about 12 acres, with a lake I consider my personal sanctuary. I bought this place after retiring early from my career as a wildlife consultant. Over the years, I've turned that lake into a small but thriving ecosystem. It's my slice of paradise, where I can sit on the old wooden dock, sip black coffee, and listen to the wind rustling through the trees without anyone around to disturb me. Last week, I finally decided to move forward with a project I've been planning for months. I wanted to introduce nurse sharks into the lake for a wildlife observation study. And before you jump to conclusions, let me clarify. Nurse sharks are docile creatures. They're more curious than dangerous, bottom dwellers that rarely bother anyone if left alone. I've handled projects like this before in controlled environments, and I made sure everything was done by the book. Every permit was approved, every safety measure in place. The night before everything went down, I spent hours preparing. With the help of two trusted friends, both marine biologists, we carefully transferred a handful of small nurse sharks into the lake. None of them were large, barely reaching 4 feet, each transported in aerated tanks. We worked well past midnight, making sure they were healthy and adjusting properly. Around 2 a.m., we stood there under the moonlight, watching their silhouettes glide through the water. It was calm, almost magical. I figured I'd have at least a few peaceful days to observe their behavior before anyone even noticed. But I forgot about one thing. Karen, if you've ever dealt with an HOA Karen, you know exactly the type. She acts like the self-elected ruler of the neighborhood. Even though no one remembers voting for her, she has this uncanny ability to show up whenever something doesn't go the way she thinks it should. The very next morning, I was out on the dock with my notebook, recording observations. The lake was still, sunlight shimmering across its surface. That's when I heard her voice, sharp, nasal, impossible to ignore. "Tyler, don't forget your floaties." "Mia, stop running." I turned around, and sure enough, there she was, marching toward the lake with her 2 kids, arms full of towels, inflatables, and buckets like they were setting up for a beach day. I felt my jaw tighten instantly. "Morning, Karen." I said, "Try and stay polite." She barely glanced at me. "Morning," she replied in that condescending tone that could sour milk. "We're just here to let the kids swim. Hope you don't mind." I did mind. This lake isn't community property. It's fully on my land, deeded and paid for. But Karen has always acted like anything within a mile of her house belongs to the HOA, including my shoreline. "Actually, Karen," I said, standing up, "the lake isn't open for swimming right now. I'm working on a wildlife project, and it's not safe to be in the water." She stopped mid-step, hands on her hips, squinting at me like I just said something ridiculous. "Not safe? What are you talking about? It's just a lake. Kids have been swimming here for years." "That's not true," I replied calmly. "Your kids have been swimming here without permission. This is private property. I've told you before, you need my approval to be here." She smirked. "Oh, come on. Don't be so uptight. It's just water." I sighed. I knew explaining about the sharks would cause drama, but I couldn't risk her kids jumping in. "Karen, last night I introduced some aquatic species for a research project. It's not dangerous if you stay out of the water, but I strongly recommend nobody swims here right now." Her expression twisted into sarcasm. "Oh, please. What, you added fish? You're acting like this is some high-security lab. You don't own nature." I tightened my grip on my notebook. My patience was wearing thin. "Karen," I said, locking eyes with her, "I do own this lake, and if you step into it without permission, you're trespassing. I don't want anyone in the water, until I finish my work. Understood? She crossed her arms like a defiant teenager. We'll see about that. And just like that, I knew this wasn't over. Karen thrives on conflict. Most people in the neighborhood just smile and nod to avoid dealing with her. But I'm not most people. I worked hard for this land, paid for every inch of it, and I'm not about to let anyone treat it like a public pool. Later that afternoon, while I was fixing a loose plank on the dock, I heard car doors slamming. I turned and nearly dropped my hammer. Karen was back, and this time she brought backup. 3 SUVs lined the gravel road. Out stepped Karen, her kids, and 2 other HOA moms with their children. They came armed with coolers, chairs, and enough beach gear to set up camp. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered. Karen strutted down the path like she owned the place, sunglasses on her head, phone in hand. Kids already running toward the water. "Karen," I called out, "I thought I made myself clear this morning." She didn't even slow down. "Oh, we heard you," she said with a fake smile. "We're just here for a quick swim. It's 95 degrees. The kids need to cool off." "Not happening," I said firmly. "The lake is off limits. I don't care how hot it is. You need to leave." One of the other women, Susan, chimed in. "Come on, Luke. Don't be that guy. It's just water. We've always thought this lake was part of the community." I pointed toward the oak tree where my property sign stood clearly visible. "This lake is on my land. It always has been. There's nothing community about it. And right now it's not safe." Karen smirked. "What? Did you put piranhas in there?" I took a breath. "No, but I did introduce aquatic wildlife for research. It's temporary, but nobody should be in the water while I'm monitoring it." That's when Karen turned to her little audience like she was leading a protest. "See? This is exactly what I was talking about at the HOA meeting. Luke thinks he can do whatever he wants with our lake." "Our lake," I repeated, my voice rising slightly. "Karen, this is not your HOA pond. I own this land, every inch of it." She crossed her arms smugly. "We'll see what the HOA has to say about that." "The HOA has no authority here," I said. "Call whoever you want. It won't change the fact that this is my property." Just then, one of the kids started wading into the water. "Hey, out of the water, now!" I barked. The boy froze. Susan shot me a glare. "You're scaring the kids." "They should be scared," I said bluntly. "There are animals in that water that could bite if provoked." Karen raised an eyebrow. "Oh, now it's dangerous? That's all I need to hear." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling 911. I almost laughed, until I realized she was serious. "Karen, don't be ridiculous. There's nothing illegal about what I'm doing. You're the one trespassing." She smirked. "We'll see about that." And just like that, she hit the call button, loudly describing me as some lunatic with a backyard shark tank. By the time she hung up, she looked victorious. I just folded my arms. "Karen," I said calmly, "you just wasted police time. When they get here, they'll see everything I've done is legal, and then you'll have to explain why you're trespassing." Her smile flickered, but only for a second. "We'll see." And as the distant sound of sirens grew louder, I knew the situation was about to get a whole lot more interesting.